What's up, guys? We're back at Archeage Unchained, and it is a Wednesday. This is actually the first castle siege for the server Jurgen, which we're currently on. And the drama is crazy right now. We're seeing tons and tons of activity with the heroes and such. Insane, insane. I believe the other servers have already done a castle siege before because they're kind of like ahead of Jurgen. But if not, let me know down below. What I wanted to talk about today is not that, though. I want to talk about making you guys money, as that's what we generally like to do on this channel. So we're seeing, and every server will be different, but we're seeing on Jurgen that the crops, the basic kind of crops like flowers, like rose for example, is increasing in value pretty consistently, and they're still selling approximately around 15,000 roses a day. And we're seeing this general trend on almost all of the basic flowers, especially the ones that are needed to craft tier 1 pigments and oils, which means once a flower gets over 5 silver, you make approximately 10 silver per labor spent on harvesting them. It costs you 375 to grab a seed, and then the seed will proc approximately 2 to 4 flowers. Generally speaking, you proc 3 flowers on a harvest, and that's single seed planting. The bundles are slightly worse, but they can get labor discounts as higher proficiency happens. So as you do it enough, your proficiency will lower down the labor cost. Unfortunately, on these basic seeds, it can't go any lower because they're 1 labor to harvest. The bundles might also actually be a little bit faster to harvest for certain crops. I believe on all these basic ones, the bundles are actually a little bit longer to harvest. But there is a chance that the bundles might actually harvest faster. This also ties into everyone asking, like probably the most frequently asked question is, what kind of upgraded thatched house should I get? Everyone is asking about the mining house because the mining house was really strong about a month ago when diamonds were 100, 150 gold each. Diamonds are no longer that expensive. Diamonds now are approximately around 30 gold per on each server, give or take. Again, every server will be slightly different. So diamonds lost their value, and the reason was people were gambling, hoping to get a jackpot diamond node, and that just doesn't happen often enough. If it happened a lot, then the diamond prices would have tanked a lot quicker. What tanked the diamond prices is people getting to 230,000 on the mining proficiency, and they're able to harvest the unidentified nodes, and those can proc diamonds at approximately around a 10% chance. And you get 3 diamonds. So that has significantly tanked down the diamond price. I recommend grabbing the upgraded thatched house that has 3 farming beds, because with crops like this growing up in value, you're going to get a steady, constant income source that is reliable, that is always in demand. So here's the Azazel, for example. Azazel, there's about 25,000 of these sold a day, and you can see the trend is going upwards. They sell for approximately 6 silver or 7 silver on average right now, all the way up to the very top of like 9 silver potentially. And so once a flower gets to that 5 silver, you're making a ton of money. You're making tons of silver off of that labor. I said approximately around 10 silver per labor. If a flower were to get up to 10 silver, which there's another flower here on the Jurgen server that is up to approximately that 10 silver per flower, that means you make approximately 20 silver per labor harvesting these on single seeds. That is a crazy amount. And then with the flower beds, you can harvest these a little bit quicker. So they normally harvest about 1 hour and 30 minutes. With the flower beds, you can harvest them in about 1 hour, and you can harvest a whole bunch together. Using the flower bed, you do lower down your silver to labor ratio slightly, but it allows you to actually get a labor reduction on the harvesting, and it's a lot easier to do. So if you have 3 flower beds with Narcissus growing, for example, you're going to be making probably around approximately 15 silver per labor at that 10 silver sell price, which is crazy. And then as your proficiency goes up, you're going to be making more and more money because your labor costs will be going down. You can also do seed bundles. And as you can see, the seed bundles, they are a little bit less silver to labor ratio. They do get affected by proficiency bonuses because they cost a little bit more to actually harvest. And they have a chance to proc like royal seeds and scented leaves and special items. Those aren't calculated into my silver to labor ratios on these things because they're incredibly rare. They're about a 1 out of 100 bundles. You'll get one. As your proficiency goes up, you should be getting a little bit more as well. So then maybe you can start really factoring them in. But just base proficiency, you're not really going to get much of the special items. It also does take a lot longer. So, normally it would take you 1 hour and 30 minutes to harvest this seed. Now, for a bundle, it's going to take you 5 hours and 43 minutes. Bundles are definitely good, though. Saves yourself time and headaches. A single seed planting is just a nightmare. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, to have to single seed plant and single seed harvest. It is just mind-numbing, boring activity. So just on that aspect, I would highly recommend using the seed beds and then also using the bundles. Again, you do lose a little bit of value. As your proficiency rises, it should even out, and your lucky procs will definitely even out there. So that answers pretty much all those questions on which farmhouse I'd recommend. The 3-bed farmhouse. You do want to take a look at your auction house and check all of the crops that are specifically used for making pigments and see which ones are high of value. And you do want to generally grow the highest value crop that you can. Why would you plant and harvest a crop that's only worth 5 silver when you can grow and harvest a plant that can sell for 10 silver? It logically doesn't make any sense. You definitely want to check the auction house, find out the best crop, and then sell the best crop. You also do have to be careful of not over harvesting, but with people buying approximately 25,000 of these flowers every day, you should be fine. Even if you harvest, 10,000 of these crops a day, you should still be able to move and sell most of those crops. If the prices do start to dive down, which they generally will, as more people do this activity, you can always just hold on to your crops and wait for the prices to go back up. And at that point, I would recommend not growing that crop anymore and jump onto the next crop. So you're going to be constantly changing crops, kind of playing the economy here, trying to figure out which crops are going to be in demand. And the tier 1s are really, really great for this because of the seed cost being incredibly low. The tier 2 and the tier 3 crops, you have to get through vacation badges, which when you factor in the cost of the vacation badges, don't really make them worthwhile to harvest. And if you're trying to sell and make money off of tier 2 and tier 3 crops, your best bet is to find them out in the wild. There was a good guide on Reddit not too long ago about someone who posted of making like 65 gold in 15 minutes by harvesting wild lotus and I believe it was lilies. And they were just harvesting them out in the wild. And I've touched upon this before. Wild crop harvest is incredibly profitable, especially on the tier 2 and the tier 3 that people actually need. Cactus always comes to mind when we're talking about wild harvest and great value. Cactus currently hovers right now around 35 silver, but if we look at the chart, we can see cactus has incredibly high spikes and sometimes sells as high as 1 gold and 50 silver. On this day over here, it sold all the way up to 3 gold per cactus. But that is an abnormally, and it doesn't really happen like that. Generally speaking, cactus is selling for approximately around 50 silver on average. And at some points, you can sell it, a gold, 80 silver. Like, it gets higher. And you can see probably the reason it sold for so much is that someone really wanted to craft certain items, and they needed a ton of cactus that day. So there was 1,075 cactuses sold on that one day, when generally most days are only about 200 or 300 cactus. Alright guys, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, post them down below. If you have any tips that you want to share, post them down below. Are you seeing this kind of seed increase, these crop increases on your server? If not, that probably means you still have a ton of PvE farmers out there that are just doing PvE activities and nothing else. At least on the Jurgen server, we're not really seeing as many PvE life skill farming type players right now, it looks like. And the hardcore PvPers and actual fighters are using up these materials and just consuming all of these crops faster than the farmers can make them, which is making for a great economy for the farmers. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.